to change that.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
I'm your tarot master and bad vibe blaster.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Please join me in sending some waves of love and light, team, and gratitude to today's guest, Step 18 Virgo, Feng Shui Master, Dana Claudat. Welcome. Round of applause. Hi, Dana.
Hi, thank you so much.
It's great to have you on. We're really excited. All of us have all sorts of designer tips that we're looking for from you today for free. So
I'm here for it.
thank you. You know, I'll just start off here with, to me, the obvious. It's about me. One of the things I like about you is that you infuse astrology with feng shui. I noticed on your YouTube channel, for instance, that it's currently the year of the dragon. So tell us, how does feng shui and Chinese and Western astrology come together?
There are so many exciting things about feng shui. And I always say, someone asked me this last night, the elements are a little bit different. There are different facets to both disciplines, but all of these disciplines look at life and say, wow, there are these beautiful patterns, and it's all about nature, observing nature, living in harmony with nature. And we don't really think about that necessarily with our homes, but we're a part of nature too. And so I believe that all these different disciplines are meant to work together. And they all sort of originated, if we go back far enough, from the same place. And then they've become very different and specialized. So I feel like there's just so many ways to look at life, and we need as many different lenses to look through as possible to get the information we need to thrive right now.
And one could argue that the only thing natural left are the human beings, because everything is so manufactured now. So does astrology per se shift the energies in a home in a given year, like the year of the dragon, for instance? Should we all be, for instance, have a fire extinguisher on the wall?
So that's a great question. I think that there's so much that you can look at. Again, like in a year of a dragon, you're meant to be really full passion, and it makes you look at your space and go, wow, like I haven't changed anything in 5 years. Wow, I'm wearing the same things. I just got into something really cool, which is tangentially related to feng shui, which is this. I always have books beside me. I got really into my colors. I don't know if you guys have ever had your colors done, but speaking to the whole audience, I pulled out this dress because I realized it was my color. And just knowing your own colors, like not your colors even in a mystical way, but like the colors to wear so that you shine is a crazy thing. And so there are so many ways when you know that these things are happening, when you hear it's the year of the dragon, what does that mean? I'm not really impressed by, oh, it's a good luck year for you, or it's a bad luck. You make your own luck.
Right.
I'm really interested in the fact that, oh my God, it's the year of the dragon. There's so much passion. How can I look better? How can I shine brighter? What can I do? And you look at your space, you look at your life, you even look at the colors of your clothes and you go, wait a second, I can take this up a notch. I can infuse more of this into my life. Whereas if I didn't hear that and I heard, oh, it's the year of the dragon, it's a bad luck year for you because you're a tiger, it's like, oh, well, then why should I bother? So I don't really look at any of those negative aspects of what people say and do.
Right.
I don't really believe them. I don't even believe they were a part of any of these disciplines when it all began. I think it was other people's beliefs and things that got entangled into all of this.
Sure.
So I'm a big fan of taking advantage of all the themes to look at life in different ways, because usually, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, like sometimes you shake the apple tree and you get oranges. Like sometimes you work on one aspect of your home or your life and you're looking for more money and then you find the love of your life. Sometimes you hear this amazing psychic reading that something incredible is going to happen to you. It makes you think of something new. And then totally something else comes out of the blue that you least expect. And I just feel like it's all about being open to the possibilities and not getting locked in any negative type predictions.
Well, thank you for covering up when we get our psychic predictions wrong.
Speak for yourself.
So 2024 is going to be an 8-year. How does numbers and numerology play into feng shui as well?
Again, it's so exciting to have these themes, to have this anticipation, this way of looking at life. If this is a year, let's just say a year that's really about tangible manifestation and money and abundance and all this infinity, you can then look at your environment and go, I can't have this clutter. I need to get my finances in order. I see my files. I see my desk. I see my to-do list. It's all a mess. And so for me, again, it's this lens through which you can start focusing and making shifts. And every single one of these years has the same amount of abundance available, the same amount of love available. It's just new ways of looking so that you can clear away what might be in the way and really set intentions that are bigger and bolder. That's how I view everything.
So it allows you to sort of mix it up. It literally, for designers and whatnot, rather than wait on the fashion industry to say what the trends are, you're just kind of going with the spiritual, energetic trends and mixing up your designs.
I love the way you said that. Yes, absolutely.
In astrology, we have only 4 elements: earth, wind, water, and fire. But in feng shui, there's a metal. So how is it that metal got into metal with our 4 elements?
So in traditional Chinese medicine, in all forms, whether it's acupuncture, herbal medicine, or feng shui, all of life was viewed through this cosmology of 5 elements. And astrology, again, was sort of developed from a different lens. So another lens of looking at life. I think when you understand the 5 elements in feng shui, metal becomes very apparent why it's so necessary. So the 5 elements in feng shui are very interesting. I believe we are not one element. So it's interesting to me that in astrology, you have elements that are really predominant and they're part of your birth chart. They're sort of part of your blueprint. And there are many different elements. There's many different things happening. So it's multifaceted. You're not just air or fire unless you have a very, very specific type of a chart. But in feng shui, at least in the way that I work with the elements uniquely, I think that the elements represent a whole stream of manifestation, how we create everything. And if you don't have that metal at the end of the cycle, you don't edit things, you don't curate things, you just keep running in circles. So, and I don't want to kind of confuse people, but in all of the ways that traditional Chinese medicine looks at life, everything is either water, wood, fire, earth, metal, but all of those things, including you, every organ in your body as well. And so you're not just like astrology, you're not just one element. You have many different elements alive in your chart, in your whole system. But I like to work with people's elements to help them to manifest more, to understand where are you leaning a little bit too heavily into one part of your creative cycle? Where are you perhaps skipping over some stuff? Where do you feel drained? And so it can be a wonderful way to look at design, because when you have a little of the elements everywhere, a room looks fresh and amazing. But also when you're looking at life, having all of the elements in harmony, they don't have to be all the same, but right, just in harmony can change your life and how you work. And I did, just a little disclaimer, I don't know if you were including this, but I did Christopher's elements with him. And I wonder if it resonated, because we talked about metal. Metal was the oddball out because no one had heard of it.
Yeah, she's exposed me. It's the one I am nothing of. So we have an ongoing bet here behind closed doors. If metal were to be assigned to an astrology sign, is there an astrology sign that you would consider to be particularly metallic?
Ooh, Probably Virgo.
Oh,
Oh,
Wow.
Virgo, well, because it's usually associated with a lot of earth, but the order, the organization is very, very Virgo. Maybe I'm curious. I'm thinking of what else you could, maybe Capricorn as
I was gonna
well.
say
I think
Capricorn.
a lot of signs that come up as very earth, very structured, very Saturn. I think anyone who has a lot of like Saturn and or strong Capricorn is probably very metal in many ways.
well, I feel like I'm redecorated. Let me hand off to Devon.
Thank you, Christopher. Oh, I've been so excited to talk to you about this. I've been practicing feng shui in my limited amateur way for about 5 or 6 years. And one of the things that immediately caught my attention was the concept of cures and how they relate to the constructive and destructive cycle. So could you briefly go over that for a beginner? How does that apply when you're starting with one room in your house?
So this is my go-to for everyone. So in feng shui, a lot of the way that it's messaged is that there are cures and there are cures for different years and there are all sorts of things. So I like to kind of, I'm going to take in the question and go, okay, so how do we optimize is what I'm going to talk about it rather than curing, because curing always implies to me, and a lot of feng shui, again, that philosophy is like, something's wrong, we have to fix it to have good luck.
Sure.
And so for me, I'm like, let's optimize. So if you have a space that feels really full of wood, you gotta shake it up a little bit. And this is where you can be intuitive. I think anyone who's sitting around going, feng shui is so complicated, or I just know a little bit, you probably know a lot more than you think. And the way that I work, if you feel at home in your home, you've got amazing feng shui. Like, you already are winning. And so if you have a lot of an element, like you have a lot of brown, or you've got a lot of wood, a lot of people have a lot of wood, or you have a ton, everything's blue. Think about this from just a very rational, start with your instinct. I need to get rid of some of this. If you have too much of something, get rid of some of it that you can get rid of. Get rid of the nightstands, get rid of the things, or paint them, or do something to freshen them up, because you already know. You don't need sort of, it's nice to have another vocabulary, but you already know where to begin. You can go deeper and you can fine tune and so many different things. But if you have too much of anything and you want to get rid of it, literally get rid of it. If you have too little of something, you'll feel it. You'll even say sometimes, this room feels like it's missing something. And we've all said that, like, something's missing here. What is missing in this room? And just look around and feel. Like, I encourage everyone to feel their home, like really feel it. Because when you get in there and you sit in a room and you're like, oh God, it's so dark. It's so, I didn't notice this before. It's got, that corner is strange. You'll notice things and you might not know why, but you'll always have an instinct, and go with that. Don't think about the instinct and then look it up in a book. There's no book that can answer what's going to make you feel at home. And so hopefully that liberates you to be able to play around more with your own space.
Yeah, well, that definitely, I love that approach of optimizing, because that was something that I encountered, was a little bit of fear over, like, oh my gosh, I mean, I'm not moving anytime soon, but I just found out I have a fireplace in my prosperity bagua. Now what do I do? So you're saying, look around the room and see what feels right and what could you add to kind of help optimize it, right? And
100%.
that, okay.
And can I just say something? Because I don't want you to be anyone to be afraid. If you read a book and it says it's bad to have a fireplace here, or it's bad to have your bathroom here, you can't have your trash can here, or anything else, don't pay attention.
Okay.
It's not real.
That is so liberating. And because I've seen all these posts on like TikTok and all these other social media things about your desk has to be this way. Don't have your scissors here. Don't have mirrors behind you, all these things. I'm going, no wonder nobody wants to learn this stuff. But when you're doing it from the interior design side and the intuitive side, and you're looking at like, how does this feel? Like, I love having this mirror here because this room feels bigger. Now you're talking about the energetic side of it, right? And so, do you have any really fun examples of where somebody made some changes using feng shui and felt an energetic shift pretty quickly within their career, within their romance life? What comes to mind for you when people ask this question?
Good question.
Oh my God. Probably the reason why I'm addicted to this. I wouldn't keep doing it if people didn't. Sometimes it's not instant, but there are so many instant things that I see and I experience. And that's what makes it so profoundly awesome. So I don't recommend that anyone makes shifts in their home, again, based on rules, but based on how you feel. And so I can guide people and give you tons of ideas and help you to move things around. But I've had people move their bed 6 inches and suddenly sleep. I've had people, which is bizarre, like a why, but things were just off. I've had people there's so many great examples of people who have, one woman was sleeping with her divorce papers locked away, far away from her bed in her bedroom. She got them out of her bedroom. She randomly met her husband a few weeks later. Like there's so many of those types of examples, people who have a closet full of clothes from their old jobs, corporate jobs. And they're like, you know what? I never want a corporate job again. I'm going to donate this. And they donate it and they get a call out of the blue for a job that they weren't looking for. And this happens. Yeah, there you go. You've experienced it.
I got rid of all my suits, all my business stuff, and done with that. Love that. So, well, thank you, because that was definitely another question I had about that. And when you mentioned decluttering, that's something I'll do when I'm just feeling stuck. I'll just go find that junk drawer that I got a little too cluttered and clean it out. So, how do you speak to the energy you're letting go of? Because I know in some methods you're asked to like thank it and pass it on, or do you need to do any sort of ceremony around it? You know, some people will like burn things or do things to just get it really clear the energy. Do you have any recommendations around once you go through that act of getting rid of things?
So it depends on what it is. If it's a bunch of stuff in a junk drawer, I don't think you need to thank it all and get rid of it. I mean, that's just me. You just shred it up, get rid of it. I'm very practical. I'm from Jersey. Like we just do things, you know what I mean? I don't have a lot of, I guess I don't have a lot of preciousness with a lot of things when it comes to letting things go. But then there are some items that are really personal and profound. I've had people really do emotional work for a few weeks to be able to get rid of a piece of jewelry or dress or something related to a part of their life full of trauma. So I don't want to in any way diminish the fact that items are invested with a ton of energy. There's that whole quantum bond that we make with things. Mm-hmm. Everything that you touch, you're sort of unified with in some way. And so letting things go is real. Like you actually move a ton of energy. So if you're getting rid of stuff, even if you think it's not sentimental and you feel exhausted, you feel anything, do a lot of self-care. But also you might want to open up some windows in your house. Yeah. If you like doing energetic clearing, one of my favorite things to do is to just put some salt bowls around the house. It's not very labor intensive, just sea salt in bowls. Put a couple of them around the house, anywhere where it feels heavy or stuck. And you don't have to do a great big ceremony, but take really good care of yourself, because the one thing I notice is that when people start letting things go, it's addictive because it's so fun. You feel free, but it's also really exhausting sometimes on an energetic level. And the best thing you could do is just take some time for you. And it doesn't have to be any specific ceremony, but really respect that. Like slow your roll, replenish yourself.
That is such excellent advice, because I never even really thought about the exhaustion side of it. You're just assuming it's grief over something, like maybe you have had to go through a divorce and it's the grief over the divorce when you're moving out all the old wedding photos or whatever it is for you. And you're thinking, well, the reason I'm exhausted is because this is still in the house and I need to just get rid of it. But you're saying, no, it's the self-care there. And I think that's a really great takeaway there. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
We're going to Chris next.
Yes. Hey, Dana, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. I'm going to piggyback off Devon's question actually a little bit. I think I know how you're going to answer this based off of the whole letting things go. But what are some, common choke points you think that are preventing people's like wealth energy or their abundance energy? Is it letting go? Is that the thing people need to do, you think?
It's a really big one. And there's another piece of it that I want to highlight because I think people don't talk about it enough. We talk a lot about clearing blocks, like blocks, money blocks, all these blocks. And sometimes people get so focused on blocks and even on clutter that it's the more you think about it, the more you find. Like everything you focus on will grow, right? So I'm really intense about magnetization, about magnetizing your space more, about magnetizing yourself more. And again, like at the beginning when I said starting wearing colors that feel more magnetic, that you feel better in, doing things that make you feel more alive, more vibrant, but also doing things in your home. There's one exercise, and someone just told me a story about this, so I'll share it, where you can wash your front door. You can actually wash any door in your house. But as you wash your door, you imagine that you are literally opening doors to more things. And most of us don't wash our doors. Like, have you ever washed your door?
Never.
Any of you? Like,
I do.
Never.
I do.
So if you wash your door, you can actually add a little bit of sea salt if you want to think about cleansing away old energies, or you can add some mint essential oil. I love that. Or even mint tea. Like a lot of times I'll make mint tea, let it cool off, and then use that to wash the door. And all of this energy is just very big. And as you're doing it, think about, what am I bringing in? What am I bringing in? What am I opening the doors to? So a woman who just joined the feng shui school told me one of the best things that happened to her was she needed a car faster. She couldn't find the car that she wanted, and she needed she wanted a specific used model of a car. And she started doing this to the car doors. She started washing the car doors and imagining this new car coming. And it literally arrived in days. And she was shocked. Like a car dealership called her and she was like, how did this happen? I just moved the timeline. And I was like, you're magnetizing, like you're literally bringing things into your life. And I think some people are a little afraid of that because when you get what you want, sometimes it's even scarier than when you are waiting for it. And so I'm a big fan of not just letting go, but bringing things in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super lazy. Do I have to wash like both sides of the door, or is it just like the outside, the inside? What is it?
Both sides. And you can wash your front door, your back door.
Right.
Some people
all doors.
All doors. Just wash
And
them all.
CLR the hinges too, make sure.
Yeah, right. I'll make sure to do that too. Yeah, thank you. So I also wanted to ask, like, what is the biggest bang for your buck change that someone can make inside, like, for the energy in their home just to feel better? Like Devon, you said to Devon about the moving the bed, and years ago I was living in an apartment. I couldn't sleep. I literally moved my bed to the other side of the room, slept like a baby after that. So, what's the biggest bang for the buck change?
Biggest bang for the buck. If you want to make a real shift in the energy in your home, probably the biggest thing you could do is deep clean with a little bit of magic thrown in. I even just deep cleaning joyfully is the biggest bang for your buck because it's so practical. There's nothing more practical than cleaning. Everyone knows how to do it. Everyone has something to do it. It's nice if you do it with natural products, but I don't care what you do it with. Cleaning is going to be life-changing, especially if you invest in the process. So if you're cleaning from a place of like, I was told I have to do this, this is going to make my space better, that's not going to work. Be like, put on music, get excited, get really into it. As you start doing that, you do two things. Not only are you clearing out dust and clearing out all of this stuff and making everything more shiny, you're also forming a deeper connection to your home. A lot of people say, well, can I just get someone to clean? You can, but you miss out on like part two. And that part two is that deep connection that you make with your space, which is where you tap into all the power in your home. So I'm a big fan of doing at least one deep cleaning, even of one room, and you will not regret it. If you do it yourself, you really get into it, under the furniture, under the bed. I don't know when we're going to air this, but it's spring cleaning time. So it's the perfect time to do it. I think that's probably the best thing that you could possibly do.
Love it.
Well, if it's
And-
cleaning, there's going to be no bang for you, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt about it, right? No one's coming
You
over
have to
my
pay for
place.
that thing.
Yeah, right. I need to hire like a hoarding team or something. Those guys that clean out hoarders is what it is.
With the white suits and the gloves.
Yeah, with the white. Oh yeah, full on hazmat. Oxygen tanks, everything.
And that's just for your closet alone.
Yeah, I'm not crying. My eyes are just watering in here. That's what it is. Yeah.
Oh, Chris.
So my last question was, I love your plants back there, and I'm a big fan of nature. On the inside, I don't like going outside. I like being inside, bringing nature inside. And so I'm a big fan of lizards and tanks. Like, are there any rules for I've been keeping fish for years and everything? Are there rules like where tanks should be? Where lizards belong, stuff like that.
I think it's really interesting to think about that, where they best balance your space. We were talking earlier about if your space has so much wood, what do you put in it? So if you have a space that feels like it's missing something and a fish tank can bring it to life, or a lizard enclosure, I don't know what it's really called, that's a great way to think about it. I like to keep things as much as possible out of the bedroom, even plants, because they're really active. So you might sleep with your pets, which I do. Like, I love sleeping with dogs. I love having pets around. But when it comes to anything active, like fish are always, there's a lot of activity, a lot of moving water. Plants are always growing, ultimately. So it's not bad to have a small thing or a small plant. But I like to keep everything in active spaces in the house and be creative, because sometimes I know I have friends who have, I don't know if they're considered lizards. Those, what are those things
Iguanas?
called? Bearded dragons.
Oh,
yeah, they're
those
lizards,
are lizards.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're like near the bathroom because of the humidity. And so you could be creative. Like, you could have something, you could fill your whole bathroom with plants. You can even fill your kitchen with plants. You can really think. I wouldn't necessarily put lizards in my kitchen, but you can definitely find unique places and where everyone also can enjoy them. That's another thing that I really think about. There are a lot of rules that you can read about where you don't put a fish tank here or you don't put it there, but really the bedroom's the only place that makes sense to me, because it is so active and you don't want that like active energy while you're sleeping. Otherwise, have fun.
Well, I guess I have to stop sleeping with my lizards. So, that's out. We're gonna move those somewhere else. Yep, they're going to the kitchen. Yeah, that makes sense.
Having trouble with indecisiveness, stress, or managing your feelings? If yes, you're looking for Serious Joy. Serious Joy is a predictive astrology service that is so amazingly accurate, you have to try it to believe it. Just enter the date, location, and time of your birth, and Serious Joy will calculate your life story using our proprietary step astrology algorithm. It's that easy. Serious Joy is your guardian sensei in the cloud. Every alert message is custom written for you. You are coached into your strengths and warned about weaknesses ahead of time. And say goodbye to surprise mood swings. If it sounds too good to be true, then try it for yourself. If you're not convinced Serious Joy knows you better than you know yourself, cancel anytime. Get serious about your joy. Visit SeriousJoy.com.
When you're surrounded by your own creativity, even hanging kids' art on the walls, when parents hang their kids' art on the walls, it boosts their self-esteem. For me, it's a huge point of leveling up to have your own things, your own DIY projects, your own art, your own posters, whatever it is, things that you have made in your space. And so you don't really need a budget. What you need is to be committed to a goal, have something that you want, which I think pretty much everybody does, and follow all the basics. Keeping your home clean and organized, you're 95% of the way there. Like, you have so much energy to work with, and then use what you have. And what you have is an abundance of energy and creativity to work with. So I think you're in the most advantaged place. People who try to buy a giant crystal to change their life or to buy a massive statue, that's not if you love it, great, but that's
Right.
not the thing that's going to move the needle.
Right.
You are the magic.
Yeah.
And I think if you study anything about Andy Warhol, and I know it's become really trendy and popular, but it was so interesting and radical to create your whole universe. And that's really what you're doing when you're deciding to design your home, design your life. You're creating your own universe. Andy Warhol made his own rules. He had his own philosophy. It was all demonstrated in the way he made art, but it wasn't just about the art he made. I'm not saying that, Brillo boxes or, Campbell's soup cans are, and that identifies as feng shui. It's the ethos behind it that really excited me. This whole construct, this whole universe. So to me, that's really exciting. And to take away from that, how you can do that for yourself, how you can start thinking about designing outside of society, outside of what you're told, outside of all of these paradigms that we're being fed. How do you want to live? How do you want to wake up? How do you want to dress? How do you want to show up in your home? I work with people who live in school buses for 15 years, not now when it's sort of trendy to do that and cool to do that. But I've always really been attracted to people who've decided to design their lives their own way. And I encourage everyone to do that because that's really the key to your success. A lot of times we're trying to force ourselves into these boxes that we don't fit in. And they don't even exist anymore. The boxes are falling away. Pluto and Aquarius, we're done with the boxes. So now we've got to figure out different ways. And I think the coolest thing is that you're setting an intention. And that's like, you want to be in that headspace. For me, whenever I'm cleaning, I feel like I'm putting order into my life. For you, it might be I'm getting myself out of a mood that I'm in, or I'm shifting the energy. So it really is so personal. But whenever you have like just a good feeling when you're doing it, when you're cleaning, it's going to come out good. You're infusing that joy into everything you do.
I love what you're doing, and I love the practicality you bring to it, and I think that's wonderful because a lot of people, like we were saying before, too many rules. It's like a diet. No one's be on a diet, right? They'll fail on that. So one of the things I wanted to know too is, like, I know we all have our like general personal colors and so forth, but which colors can, generally speaking, can inspire people to increase their energetic flow, of inspiration, and which colors could also inhibit that?
I think that's such a cool question. And it really is super duper personal. Some people look at blue and feel horrible. Some people look at blue and feel amazing. I encourage people, a lot of times people read books and it says, if you put purple in the far left corner of your house, you're going to have money. And like you said, that's sort of like a formula, a diet. It can be restrictive, but a lot of people do it. A lot of people look for color meanings outside of themselves. Right. And I'm a big fan of trying unexpected things. So get yourself a lot of paint swatches if you want to paint your house, and get outrageous colors that you're just drawn to. And you now can peel and stick them. Most places make peel and stick swatches where you could peel them, stick them on the wall, and dare to do something completely different than you would have ever done. And I feel like that to me is the most exciting thing. And really different could be beige, really different could be aqua.
And so it can change, right? So like people can change their, because 1 minute I was blue, now I'm purple and violet. So and grays and black. So it's good that you say people can change. Like a lot of people like try to find their color. And so it's usually what's in the moment. Is that right? Kind of like in the moment. And I love that vibe of that, kind of discovering.
I think so. Magenta is a color that's usually associated with a little bit of magic. And if people are attracted to magenta, you don't have to put magenta on your walls, but even using magenta pens when you're writing, bringing more magenta into your life in interesting little ways can be something that's a spark, because magenta is not really a color. It's like the distance between two colors. Right. And so we make it in our mind. And because we make it in our mind, it has this emblemic magic to it. Right. It's like manifesting. We're manifesting magenta. Right. And so I do play around with magenta with people who like magenta, but there's definitely a world of color you can explore. And you can always change it. Have one wall. Some people have one wall in their house that they constantly change the color of. And that's really refreshing. It's really exciting, actually, because It doesn't take much money. It doesn't take much time, but the difference is enormous.
True. Awesome. That's great. And also now this get a little spooky here. Have you ever gone to a location where there's any like residual energy, ghost activity, poltergeist activity? And so what do you do to do that type of clearance? And what can people at home do to kind of eliminate those types of energies, especially if they're the ones creating it? What would you recommend?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I live in LA, and it's not just LA that's full of haunted places. It's everywhere. But I've had clients who have their cell phone. One person had their cell phone tucked in the side of their bed between their bed and their like bed frame. And I was like, what is this here for? And he was like, if I don't put it here at night, it flies across the room. And I was like, what's going on? Wow. What's going on?
The guy's like, get rid of that phone, you know?
Stoves turn on, people who've had their, not just, oh, I see something. Like I've walked into homes where I get pulled backwards or pulled sideways by an energy I don't even understand.
Right.
Luckily, I don't do ghosts, and I don't recommend that people do ghosts themselves. I don't think that there are certain things that I don't like to mess with, because usually you can do it yourself, but it just comes right back. I have someone, it's actually my sister. My sister is, she focuses on clearing dark energies. She focuses on a lot of things, but she does clear a lot of dark energies. And it's just like, for her, it's her wheelhouse. For me, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess with it, especially things that throw things around the room. Yes, there are tons of ghosts around. If you think you have one, don't despair. Most people do. And usually you can live with it unless it's really disruptive. And that's what I always tell people. There's a lot of fear factor about it, but I always thought to myself, well, they have to go somewhere. Like, I don't know where people go, but you can't just be destroyed. So there has to be energy somewhere.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of it's residual too. Like maybe there's like some, deep, heavy trauma that's happened in a location, and that residual energy just stays there, kind of like a stale fart type of thing. Febreze ain't going to fix it, So, so I think that what you do does help that as a medium. It does kind of help do a lot of those clearances. So I think that you're making more changes than you actually really know, actually, because it can actually help, spirit get free and clear out, very toxic, heavy energy. So you actually are doing a lot of good changes by the work that you're doing, more than you realize, actually. So I just want to kind of commend you on that, because you could be actually potentially clearing a lot of spirit without realizing it. And so
that's so cool.
And I want to say this too, because a lot of clients I've been having lately have been making a lot of shifts, or at least spirit's been guiding them to make shifts into helping people in their home spaces. So I think 2024 is kind of like, we need to start nesting that way now. So I think what you're doing is going to be very, very expansive this year, and a lot more people will be calling for this space. So I think you're right on track with the collective and doing this work. I think it's fantastic. And I tend to think that, our home is a reflection, extension of our minds, what's going on in our minds. So you're helping people kind of rearrange their minds in a sense. So I just want to commend you on that. I think it's a very, very amazing realm to be in, and necessary for the collective. So I just want to give you a little bit of brownie points on that.
Imagine a life where angels guide your every step and animals share their wisdom with you. Hi, I'm Devon Duerr, and I invite you to join me on my YouTube channel. Together, we'll explore how to connect with the angelic realm and the natural world. Discover the secrets to understanding messages from your spirit guides, animals, and even passed away loved ones. Each video offers tips and advice to empower your spiritual journey. Don't wait to transform your life. Subscribe at Devon Duerr now.
So a lot of people are very interested in, attracting wealth and, and all that type of stuff and abundance. What kind of tips, and I know there's personalized things to do so, but what generalizations can people do to kind of enhance the abundance and wealth mindset?
One of my favorite things is to detox your home of chemicals. It might sound very, very strange and backwards. Like, what does that have to do with anything? But
Sure.
I used to take a shower and come out of the shower feeling less awake than when I went in the shower, because I didn't have a shower filter. And this was like 15, 20 years ago. So I can't imagine what the water's like now, but I've had a shower filter ever since.
Yep.
And whenever I travel and there's no shower filter, I hate taking a shower. I have to take it so quick because I don't want to be like full of whatever chlorine fumes or whatever it is that I'm breathing in.
Yep.
That just like tanks my energy.
Yep.
I believe like ultimately, again, all that magnetism, it starts with you being as present as you possibly can be. And all of these like Christopher said at the beginning, there's like nothing natural left. Like
Right.
we need to bring as much nature and harmony into our space.
agree.
So getting rid of fake fragrances, even candles that are like natural aren't necessarily natural.
Right.
And so as much as possible, without being, use up what you have and then replace it as you go. But the more you can home detox, it's something people don't really think about.
Right.
Take your shoes off when you walk into your
Yep.
house. These small things just aren't just great for your health and your being present, but they are a way of telling the universe, I feel like my life is sacred. I want to take
right.
care of it. And
Yep.
so that's how I'm going to be treated. Like
100%.
I'm going to get that in return.
I love that was your response. I really love that because it's your space, but it's more to it too. It's a space you're creating for your soul and your art too, and what you're surrounding yourself with. I love that. So you hear that, residents and friends? Take your shoes off before going to my house. Dana said it, so don't get mad at me anymore.
And don't step into Chris's. Well, Dana, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. We've had a great time. We could go all day with this. You have an amazing website. It's fengshuidana.com. Tell our viewers where to get started working with you.
You can go to the website or go to YouTube, The Tao of Dana. It's TheTaoOfDana everywhere on Instagram, on YouTube, all over. There are so many videos. There are so many resources for you to begin with. If you want to be a pro, you can sign up for details on my website, fengshuidana.com, to join in the school. You can also just stick around, show up for live streams. I'm always happy to answer questions. I work in a really different way. So I feel like it's my duty to show up and help you guys feel liberated to design spaces in ways that feel good to you.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming today. We've had a great time, right, gang?
Yes, thank
you.
you.
Dana. You are so generous with your knowledge and, like you said, on all your platforms. So I'm really grateful. I look forward to following you more.
Well, I love all of you. Your questions were amazing. I appreciate all of you. I'm going to be following along with everyone now. I'm so excited. I followed 2 of you, but now I'm going to be following everyone. I want to know everything. And your questions were so cool. I'm so appreciative. It was so cool to look at life, look at even my work in different ways. I want to use this as like a way to talk about my work. You all talked about it in the coolest ways. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming on.
You're such a delight. I am a little curious about trying to bring your sister on. She sounds interesting. She clears haunted houses. Like
she loves you. She loves your astrology, and she hears me listening to Chris's videos all the time. So she's in the.
Sorry for you.
Every
for your
time
sister.
I'm listening to Chris's videos, she does always ask me, "Are you listening to Ben Shapiro?" For some reason.
Why Ben Shapiro? Everybody says I don't sound anything like Ben. Come on. Not even close.
If you close your eyes, I don't know.
Everybody is always like, you sound like Ben Shapiro. You sound like Ben Shapiro. I'm like, Ben is half the man that I am. Okay, like, let's get that straight.
Well, Chris, next week's guest is Ben Shapiro. That's so funny.
Oh, it's awesome. I am so absolutely excited that you're doing this, and any way that I can help or share it or do anything, I'm down for it.
What a doll.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. All right, much love. Be well. Clean happy. Go wash that door.
Yeah, go wash your door. Both sides.